41.7 on a bike. 15. This exact thing happened literally where I ran into a duck that was just chilling. This thing's ridiculous. That's why I love this thing. Smurf. Oh shit, 267. Therein lies the paradox, folks. 271, we're climbing. Why are we climbing? 275. Oh my God. Overheating the whole way home. If someone, you know, representing Wired chose to mock and insult me and belittle me instead of providing warranty services to me, I still love riding it, but I can't recommend it. This is going to be my review, my definitive review of my beloved Wired Freedom, whose name is Smurf. So if you hear me say Smurf the rest of the video, I'm referring to this bike behind me. And I have a lot to say. I did do a review initially of this bike. A lot of things have changed. Thought it was important after 500 miles on this bike to give you my honest feedback. I'll be discussing the good, the neutral, the not so good, and whether I recommend it still after all this time. I first put out my review of the Wired Freedom after 1 week back in mid-July. So it's been 3 months since then, and let me tell you, a lot has changed. And so I felt really compelled to do another review for you guys, update you on some new opinions that I have, new events, you know, that have taken place, and stay tuned to find out if I still recommend this bike that I, spoiler alert, love, and I still love it, even after everything that's happened. I'm gonna structure this just like my first review. So I'm gonna start with the pros. And the first good news, I mean, obviously it's gotta be the power. This has a 1500 watt nominal rear single motor geared hub motor in the back. And it produces up to 3200 watts of peak power. And for a bicycle, that's a lot of power. You can do cool things like what I'm doing now, which is, you know, riding in traffic easily, keeping up with traffic even. Cruise controlling at 30 and just sipping power because it's not even a workout for this motor. Spoiler alert, it's fast. I mean, even 3.5 months since I got this bike, I don't feel bored by the power by any means. I think that happens a lot of the time with these really high-powered e-bikes. I think it's very easy to get used to the power, right? And yeah, that hasn't happened. And it's not just fun, right? It's an insurance policy. If you're gonna be riding on the road, you better be able to, you know, keep up with traffic. If you come from a background where you're used to cycling on the road on like an unpowered road bike, then yeah, you know, you're fine. But for the rest of us, and for me, I feel a lot safer knowing that I can blend with traffic and I'm seen as something close to a motorcycle. It's really, really fun. It's nice to be able to just cruise control at 30 or 35 miles an hour and just kind of get home quickly. So there's a lot of practical benefits to that, as well as it's fun. It's really fun. As you can see, I mean, I'm in pedal assist 7. I'm cooking at around 2200 watts, going 35, and I just feel right at home with these cars. They're going faster than me, but it's, you know, it's safe. I don't really like to go over 40, so this is plenty for me. In fact, I'm gonna turn right here. And while I'm thinking about it, the brakes are very good as well. That's another positive on this bike. I have not been disappointed by the brakes. They have a really good feel. They respond very, very nicely. I also own an Apollo scooter, which does not have hydraulic brakes. It has mechanical brakes, and with those, you have to really use a lot of finger muscle to pull them. And these, it's just like, yeah, you just barely touch them and I'm slowing down. And I think this would be a good place to do a test. So let me squeeze them from 25, show you the stopping distance. All right, 3, 2, 1. Whoa. It got nice and squirrely on me, but that was 25, and I started braking right there. That tree, that's like 15 feet behind me. So 25 miles an hour and 15 feet, it's pretty damn good, y'all. I don't have any notes on the brakes. They're really good, and they have a great feel to them. You will not be disappointed. It was fishtailing on me, honestly. That's probably the hardest I've ever stopped on this bike. You got really good torque. Obviously, with this amount of power, especially with a geared hub motor, you're going to produce a lot of low-end torque, So this thing is good, you know, if you want to tow something. I personally haven't tried that. I imagine it would be good for that though. I imagine if you wanted to tow a trailer with your kids in it or your dog or whatever, this would be a really good choice for that. It's gonna have a lot of good low-end grunt. The next thing I have to comment on are the looks of this bike. I personally am in love with it. Just this blue is gorgeous. It's so beautiful. It's this like, I don't know if you'd even call it cobalt blue, but it's, you know, like the Magician Alpha and things like that. They have this like really electric blue. Even the Velatric that I have in my garage comes in this like really electric blue, and that's not something I enjoy. But I do really like the matte kind of light blue. Well, it's not even really light blue. It's kind of like the same color as those electric blue bikes, but it's matte and it just looks really nice. Overall, I just think it looks the most bicycle-like of the 3,000 watt and up products on the market. And I really appreciate that. I think that's awesome. I think it's such an aggressive design. You can see the dual batteries, the big chunky tires. I've said this before and I'll say it again. It's kind of like something out of Mad Max. That's kind of how it feels when you ride this. It feels like you're riding this like post-apocalyptic dirt bike, you know, from outer space. I don't know about that last part, but I don't think anything comes close to it on the market, honestly. And of course, looks are subjective. The Magician Alpha looks very similar, maybe eerily similar, but we don't have to talk about that. Next thing I'll talk about is the suspension of this bike. It comes with a full suspension. You've got air suspension in the back, and then you've got a dual crown fork in the front. I find that it's been great. You know, it's not like anything that I would write home about. In other words, like I'll go over this bump here. It's really nice. It soaks it up well. Do I feel like I'm riding on a cloud? No, you know, but I also, it's plenty for me. I have ridden a lot of bikes in my life. This is easily the best suspension of all of them. So yeah, suspension, honestly, I have no notes. I think it's really good, really comfortable. It's looking a little rainy up north. Hopefully it's, I'm not gonna get rained on. Next thing I'll discuss as one of the pros, I would say, are the tires. They are good. I don't have tons of notes on them. Obviously, they're wonderful for this kind of riding, just on the road. Very comfortable. They soak up bumps well. In tandem with the suspension, it's a very comfortable ride. I find that they hold pressure well. I find that they do grass and mud really well. I do find that gravel is a little iffy. I haven't deflated them and like specifically went out to try gravel with like underinflated tires, but I have seen people recommend that. So I can't really speak to the gravel performance other than when you're running at 20, 25, 30 PSI, it's a little slippery on gravel, especially loose gravel. Haven't tried it on sand, unfortunately. That acceleration is just so fun, man. It's so easy to get off the line on this bike because you just kind of twist that throttle a little bit and then boom, you can start pedaling and it's totally stable and easy to do. Side note, if you have any questions about any of the accessories that I have, such as my blinker system, this bell, these mirrors, I get a lot of questions about these mirrors. Stay tuned. There is an accessories video coming out very soon, like in the next week. I've already filmed it. I'm just cutting it together. So stay tuned. That's going to be coming out soon. The next thing I have to praise this bike for, because even though I've owned 3 e-bikes and maybe like 8 bikes in my entire life, this level of customizability is not normal, guys. You can get in here and literally program, number one, how many pedal assistance levels you want. You can have 3, 5, 7, or 9. I have 7 because I felt like that was a good balance. But you can have up to 9 pedal assist levels, and it doesn't stop there because you can actually go in and tune each pedal assistance level to exactly what percentage of power from the motor that you want at that pedal assistance level. Let's say mine are something like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. You know, it's perfect when you're riding in a hilly area like this and you're like, okay, I'm going up a hill, I need a little bit more help. You just kind of go boop, boop. And all of a sudden, your pedaling is equaling more torque per rotation that you're getting for that hill. If you're going downhill, you can turn it all the way off. Go to 0, motor cuts out, you're good. So this level of customization is absolutely outstanding. It doesn't stop there though. You can actually tune the throttle, whether you want it to follow the pedal assistance level, or if you just want all the torque, which that's, you know, that's how I run it. I use the throttle when the pedal assistance is just not quite getting me up the hill or whatever. A little pull of the throttle fixes that right up. You can see just how fun this thing is, man. It's an absolute blast. Oh, I got a bug in my eye. As soon as I pull my visor up, that happens. So customizability is amazing. You also can dial in the rear shock to your body weight. There's literally a chart in the manual that comes with the bike. You'll get a manual for your shock as well, and it has all the different like body weights, and then it tells you exactly how much air pressure to put in the shock. Come to think of it, I've lost some weight, so I need to pull some air out of there. So you can really just kind of make this bike your own. You can set a password on it, which that's pretty standard across e-bikes. I'm really worried about these clouds, man. I hope there's not a thunderstorm I'm about to run into, but what are you gonna do? It'll make the review even more interesting, if that's even possible. I know, it's hard to believe. Pretty nice looking clouds over there though, that's cool. Honestly, the customizability of this bike, to me, is one of the things that sets it apart from your Aniakis, your Iahoras. To the best of my knowledge, those bikes, whoa, I do not need to be in my highest pedal assistance for this. Those bikes are very similar to my Velotric, where it calculates the pedal assistance percentages for you. There's nothing you can do about it. You pretty much set your pedal assistance level, and then that sets your top speed, and its cadence sensor. If you're pedaling, it's just trying to get to that top speed at all times. And I don't like that as much. With this bike, what they do, which is a brilliant idea, and I wish all e-bike companies did this, is that it's not based on your top speed at all. What it's based on is how much power you're getting. So if you want less power, but you still want to go 20, just pedal harder and go down in pedal assistance. Versus on a different bike, if you go down in pedal assistance because you're going too fast, now you're going 7 miles an hour slower. You know, especially with these really fast e-bikes with only 5 pedal assistance modes, it's really jumpy. So I really, really appreciate that. Next thing I've got to love on here is the cruise control. And in my initial review, this was not something I was as thrilled about because I found it kind of difficult to activate. The way you activate it is you hold down on the throttle and you try to maintain a steady speed. So if I try to go 17 here in cruise control, I'm going to try to keep a steady speed. I'm going to, went a little fast there. I'm gonna hit my minus button, and then I'm gonna see that pop up, and I'm gonna hold it for another second or two, then I'll release. And see, sometimes it doesn't stick. And that's annoying because I don't really know why that happens. But let me try it again. You gotta make sure you're applying a little bit of power. Okay, let go. Guess what? Now we're cruise controlling at 16. So cruise control is just a great thing to have. I don't love the implementation of it. You already kind of saw what I don't love about it, but I love that it has it, period. It's just so convenient. Range on this is very solid. In my initial review, this is one of the things that my opinion has changed a little bit on, because in that video I was saying, oh, this is a 100-mile bike all day long. You know, as with any battery, once you get past about 50%, I mean, the battery is just going down fast, like maybe twice as fast. Sometimes it feels to me like twice as fast than, you know, the first 50%. Once you get under that 50%, everything's not as efficient and you're just burning through battery a lot faster. With that being said, I've had 3 months and about 500 miles, I'm guessing. I haven't actually calculated my odometer because I had to reset it when I got a new motor, but I think it was around 500 miles that I put on this bike or so. It's my best guess. The longest trip I've taken on a full charge to, you know, running it down, I believe it was around 47 miles was my longest trip, and I finished with 10%-ish. That was some, you know, city riding where I was going 35. That was some trail riding. Actually, that was the day I took it off-road accidentally, was my longest ride, and that you can see that video up here as a card in your upper right corner of your screen. Finished the day with 47 miles and about 10% left when I got home. So And that was, you know, that was a pretty demanding ride, obviously. So do with that what you will. I think if you're trying to go 60 miles, I think you'll be good. But if you're trying to go like, oh my God, all day, like 80, 90, 100 miles, I don't think, oh, look at this. Whoa. Are these turkeys? No. What are they? I swear this is so weird. Because in my Apollo City scooter review, which is going to launch soon, this exact thing happened, literally, where I ran into a duck that was just chilling. I don't think these are ducks, though, but... What is that? Dude, you're awesome. Wow, look at you. You're so unbothered by me. You're even wagging your tail. Wow, what kind of bird are you? Dude, he does not give two shits about me at all. I will say, like, all right, get ready, y'all. I'm about to go on a tangent about birds, so if you want, you can skip ahead. Like 20 seconds, I'll be done. I am someone who actually finds birds really cute. I know, like, some people, like, I know my late grandmother was, like, very scared of birds. Like deathly afraid of birds, like a phobia sort of thing. I think they're adorable. Like, a lot of people don't stop and say, like, oh, that's so cute, that bird. For me, y'all, I'm like, that's how I feel about birds. Look at a deerie. Oh, man. It's all the wildlife. Hi. I know, I'm big and scary and Mad Maxy. I know. Okay, anyway, like I said, I hope you skipped ahead, skipped that tangent. I'm gonna leave it in though. Range, I would say, like, if you're expecting 60 miles, you can probably eke that out. You can probably get that and ride pretty normally. If you're trying to go 100 miles, you probably could do it, but you have to stay under 1,000 watts average, I would say. Usually, most of my rides, I come back having averaged about 1,200 watts or so of usage. But if you, like, this greenway is like 8 miles long, and I'll use like literally 2% getting through the whole thing because I'm going so slow and I'm not using the throttle very much. I'm just kind of chilling at 13 miles an hour. So it is possible to do the 100-mile ride. It's just not what this thing's really built for. As far as charging, I was worried, so maybe you are too if you're a prospective buyer. I was worried about having 2 different chargers for 2 different batteries and having like a mess of cables in my garage. It's been fine. I have an extension cable with a splitter on it, so I just plug both chargers into the splitter. Each one pulls, I want to say 3 amps, so that's still totally safe to do that. It's 20 amp hours at 6 amps. That would be 3.5 hours or so. All right, next thing I want to discuss here is the headlight and taillight, which are good. Not great, you know, but they're good. I really do love the design of the taillight, especially at night. I just think it looks sick. The front is sufficient. I wouldn't say it's, you know, it's sufficient for what I do, which is like riding on roads with street lamps at night. If you're trying to do something like this, like a greenway at night, you're going to want something with a wider beam. This is another place where I differ actually from my initial impression. I love this twist throttle, man. It's so much fun. In my initial review, I was so used to thumb throttling that it kind of wasn't my favorite thing initially. I gotta say, man, it's really, really grown on me. It just feels like, you know. Let me try to not ride into the creek here. So that's a pro. I love that. I don't actually want another e-bike without a twist throttle. So there you go. I've come completely around to it. Next thing I'll say is the transmission. The shifter on this has been flawless. From day one, it's been perfect. And I've had an overwhelmingly high amount of bikes in my life that have not been that way. Maybe they come from the factory with a bent derailleur, or they just aren't very crispy feeling, you know? This thing, it's just flawless. I think it's geared really well for the weight of the bike. So here I am on flat ground. I'm gonna turn the motor off, literally. So 0 means I'm getting no help, and I'm gonna downshift all the way to 1. And I'm gonna start from nothing, and we're just gonna see how easy this is for me. Let's see. Whoa. I mean, look, I'm doing it. It's not fun, but if your battery dies, like, it's good to know. Granted, I do have actually probably the strongest legs of any YouTuber, period. Not just bike reviewers, but anybody. But yeah, I can get up to 10. Let me see if I can do 15 if I just really get after it here. And this, again, this is maybe even a slight incline here. 15! I did it. I did it. The trophy is surely in the mail. There you have it. So you can get home if your battery dies. Just hope you don't have any hills, man. There is a little bit of ghost pedaling when you get into the 40 mile an hour range, but honestly, I'm not really trying to pedal at 40 miles an hour myself. But you can still apply some good speed via the pedals at 30, maybe even 35 miles an hour. And it's important to mention the specs, right? So this is a 7-speed Shimano tourney derailleur. And I do not know what the Shimano, well, it just says Shimano 7-speed here. So this is a model that's used on a lot of bikes. And next thing I like, and I wanted to point out that I didn't point out in my initial review, is that you get a rear rack for free. That's not the case, obviously, for all e-bikes. So I did want to make sure I point that out because I think that's a good deal. I'm using mine with a really nice bag. And if you want to know what kind of bag that is, either stay tuned or it'll appear up here if it's been posted. So watch my accessory video. Another small thing, I did mention this in my initial review too, but I love the dual-walled chain guard. The chain is not slipped off in 500 miles. You guys saw the crazy, some of you saw the crazy accidental off-roading that I did. And yeah, chain is fine. It's never slipped off. I think that's a feature that every bike should have. Period. So many people on these greenways, it's like you do your bell, but they have noise canceling headphones in so they don't hear it. But I can't even be mad because that's me too. Like when I go for a walk or a hike, I'm usually listening to music too. My next section will be about things that I'm kind of neutral about. Don't really love, don't really hate, you know, and it's really just one thing. I was trying to think about it and there's really just one thing, and it's the sound of the motor. And it's not just that I'm totally neutral about it. I'm kind of ambivalent where I love it in acceleration mode, right? So if I think it sounds badass in that context. That whine, you know, it kind of sounds like a supercharger. What I don't love as much is when you're at speed and you're cruise controlling, it does get a little bit drony. But again, like it's certainly not anything that's really affected my enjoyment of the experience. And if anything, I said this in my initial review too, I'd rather it be loud and sometimes annoying than too quiet even when you're accelerating and you want some drama and some theater, you know? So a quick check into the range. We've gotten 10 miles or a little over and we're at 95%. So again, the range is pretty darn good on this thing. No complaints there at all. Yeah, I forgot that there's a lot of soccer practice here. But yeah, like I said, I mean, there's benefits and there's negatives to looking this way, you know, with the gloves, the full face helmet, and then this like huge Mad Max bike. You're going to draw some good attention. You're going to draw some bad attention. You're not going to draw much neutral attention. Okay, so unfortunately the time has come to discuss some things that I'm not as thrilled about with this bike. And this is where my review will sound very, very different from the initial review, sadly. The first thing I want to discuss is weight. And this is no surprise, you know, if you guys are seriously considering buying this bike, you probably know that it's heavy. And it's 118 pounds, I want to say, with the batteries. And then as I've mentioned before, I keep my kryptonite chain in the back. I'm just gonna stop for a minute. There's too much. You know what? I'm gonna cross here. And yeah, this is what's cool about having a fat tire bike, is you can just kind of go anywhere with it. They may not be thrilled about me biking on this, but I'll try to go around the field. This is a heavy bike, y'all. It's heavy. If you haven't been keeping up with your conditioning, and by that I mean your leg strength as well as like your core strength, your arm strength. Good and bad news. Good news is you're gonna get in shape. Bad news is the bike's probably gonna fall on you, you know, at least once or twice a month, maybe? I don't know. If you're anything like me, which is not to say that you are, you may be a lot more physically fit than I am. But I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying to get in shape. But anyway, I have had 3 accidents, quote unquote, with this bike, and all have been because of the weight of it in some form or fashion. Like the weight has been involved each time I've gotten hurt. And the first one actually, you know, happened in the first few days of ownership, so I spoke about it in my initial review, but I essentially stopped on the side of the road and it kind of sloped down. and I just wasn't paying attention. And then of course the bike, you know, started to tip down the little slope, and it landed on my shin. So I had like this nasty bruise for weeks after that on my shin. And then some of you may know that I did have like a pretty serious accident actually, and we're also barely moving. Let me try zigzagging. Whoa, maybe not that much. Well, I shouldn't say that because I was okay. You know, it could have been a lot worse, but I did tip again on a hill, but this time it wasn't completely my fault. I'll get into that a bit later. But, you know, suffice to say, the weight is going to really impact your experience with this bike. Either you'll go into it, you know, in really good shape and you'll be knowing what you're getting into and it won't be a big surprise or a big deal, or maybe you've been riding heavy e-bikes or even motorcycles and, you know, it just won't be a big deal for you. Or you'll be like me, where you went in thinking like, oh, my e-bike now at the time was 75 pounds. It's only 50 pounds more, you know? And no, it's a different sport altogether. But what I said in my initial review still holds, which is that, like, given the performance, the battery, the durability, it's just gonna weigh this much. Like, it's just kind of physics at this point. We haven't really cracked battery technology in the way that we have with like CPUs, you know, like Moore's law for CPUs. Flat screens just keep getting thinner and thinner. Batteries, it just kind of is what it is. So you gotta take the good with the bad on that one. It's a heavy bike, just be prepared for that. Don't let it talk you out of it, but just know what you're getting yourself into. It's an awesome experience, but if it could have been 60 pounds, sign me up. All right, next thing that's negative for me is the torque sensor tuning. I went into this in great detail in my first review because it just doesn't feel good. Steve, the owner, came out and he said, essentially, yeah, we tuned the wired freedom and cruiser a bit differently than the 72 volt bikes because we thought that the rider using it would want different things from the bikes. Therefore, here are some settings to try that may help your experience. Full transparency, I never tried them because I have really enjoyed riding the bike in cadence mode with all of its customizability. So that's kind of where I stand on it. I wasn't desperate to use the torque sensor once I set up the cadence sensor in a way that I was super thrilled with. So that was my experience with it. Steve also, to his credit, and again, this is just from memory, Steve also, to his credit, came out and offered the chance to swap to a new controller that was tuned differently for the torque sensor, tuned a bit more like the 72 volt bikes. I don't know if that fixed it for people or not. Obviously, I haven't, you know, done that myself. This always makes me nervous here. Ooh. It's like not even close. It's just me being like paranoid about it. I highly recommend, if you guys do buy this bike, set the throttle up as 100% and then try to, you know, be lower on your pedal assist, because when you're not used to that level of power from the pedal assist, then when you use the throttle, it feels like a treat. It's like, oh yeah, this bike's so freaking fast, I forgot. Just a little pro tip there. So that's all I have to say on the torque sensor. I know that's not like a lot of information on that. I just don't really use it, you know. That's been my experience. So the biggest con I have, unfortunately, is something that I need to address here. The bike has consistently overheated for a long time. Check out this video up here if you'd like to see a detailed breakdown of the backstory. If you'd rather not click off, I totally get that too, and I'll just kind of summarize. Starting about mid-July, I noticed increasing amounts of overheating on hills, like pretty steep hills, and, you know, cruise controlling at 30, kind of like what I'm doing now, but a little faster. Eventually it got bad enough to where I reached out to Wired directly because I was like, all right, you know, this is an issue. I actually went up to the Hill of Doom and I tested the bike against it. And as I was testing it and I was pushing it to its limits to try to get footage for Wired, the bike hit 300 and stopped in the middle of a hill, and I tipped over and sprained my ankle, slammed my head into the pavement, which ruined my helmet, and I experienced concussion symptoms. I didn't mention any of that to Wired the next day because I just didn't want to didn't want to get into that. I did test the motor and it had a short, and they were like, all right, we'll send you a new motor. I had it professionally installed. That was while I was on vacation. I came back from vacation. I was so excited to try it. That footage is up here. I did a vlog of that ride because I was so excited, and lo and behold, it still overheated all 3 times that I tried the Hill of Doom. And on one of the tries, I cruise controlled at 5 miles an hour up the hill, and it made it halfway up the 300-meter length of hill and then died on me, and I had to walk mode to get it up the hill. And I was just so deflated. I was so upset, and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And then I got home, I slept on it, I woke up and I was like, you know what, like, Wired's gonna help me out. They've already been helping me out. So I send the updated information about how the new motor didn't solve my problem. The reply I got back was from their generic, customer support email, and it was like, really, I didn't expect them to say this. What they said, and I'm paraphrasing, is that hill's probably just too steep for the Wired Freedom or any single motor e-bike. And of course, immediately I was kind of defensive because I was like, there's no way that's true. And I said as much. The next few emails I received from them were hostile and just super unprofessional, in my opinion. And I was just really disappointed about that. And it kind of culminated in them saying, no, we are not going to help you. I offered to drive this bike up to their headquarters, drop it off with them, pay the difference to upgrade to a 72 volt bike, whether it be a Scout, Warrior or Predator. So pay the difference for that, bring it home, and do a review on it. It's crucial to note that I never promised a positive review. I would never do that. I'm brutally honest about these products. I have no reason not to be, by the way. Wired has done nothing for me besides sending me a new motor, which I would say is expected under warranty support. They mocked the size of my YouTube channel. Obviously, I'm a pretty small creator and I've just started on YouTube. Whoever I was emailing with, again, I'm paraphrasing all of this, essentially implied I was just trying to get something free out of them in exchange for a positive review, which I found like deeply insulting to my character. They essentially said, no, we're not going to help you. We're done. And at that point, I was suspicious because they had only been signing these emails with Wired. There was no name associated with these emails, but I was suspicious that I was, interacting with the CEO of Wired, and I directly asked, who am I corresponding with? Is this Steve? And then there was silence for like 4 hours, and then I got a response back that only just said, I just forwarded this to him. Again, they neglected to divulge their name. They just supposedly emailed the thread to Steve. All the while this was happening, I was stewing on 14.4% grades were too steep for the Wired Freedom for any single motor e-bike. And I remembered that my mom owns a Velotric Fold 1 Plus, which is a 750 watt folding $1,499 e-bike. So like a great test, right? Single motor, rear hub motor, apples to apples, except it's way cheaper and way less powerful. I took it up the Hill of Doom and down 4 times in a row with no overheating. And in my mind, when I did that, it was case closed. I was like, okay, well, obviously my bike is defective and obviously they will do the right thing. I sent them back that footage on YouTube of, the 750 watt pint-sized e-bike easily crushing the Hill of Doom. And then the next day, I got an email in my inbox signed by Steve, or Steven. So he did say, this is Steven. There was no recognition of that video at all. And that was that. I let it drop. I am not one for drama. It's actually been like a really stressful experience for me being in this. I'm caught between feeling like I want to share, the truth with you guys. I'm in a position where I adore this bike. I still do. I still have a strong emotional connection to this thing. I still love riding it, but I can't recommend it because I don't want anyone to be treated the way I was treated, especially not my loyal viewers of the channel. They belittled my channel. I, for one, don't care about the numbers. I care about the people behind the numbers. I appreciate every single one of you that show up and comment and support and, stay tuned into my story. It was really frustrating that Wired latched onto the YouTube thing, twisted my words, and mocked and insulted that aspect rather than providing me with warranty coverage. Again, I can't recommend the bike. I can't recommend the bike. I love the bike. I hate the overheating and I hate the way I was treated. And that's where I'm at with it. It's not a clean resolution by any means. I'm extremely disappointed with how everything went down, but that's the truth of everything that happened. Again, everything I said was paraphrasing. I can't be sure that for the majority of the thread I was speaking to Steve, but I do have strong suspicions. And it doesn't really matter. Regardless, someone, representing Wired chose to mock and insult me and belittle me instead of providing warranty services to me. I would say look at the Magician Alpha, look at the Iahora Romeo and the Iahora Juliet. I would say look at the Anioki stuff. I would say look at the GOAT e-bikes. If you want something that's really powerful and really fun, big range, those are kind of the brands I'd be looking at, and those are the brands I am looking at, frankly, because I don't believe I'll buy another Wired bike unless this turns around. I don't see how I would ever trust them again. If I did, I would probably buy like a third-party warranty with it so that I don't have to worry about Wired, just getting their feelings hurt and deciding they don't want to provide warranty support. And of course I paid $150-ish to have the motor installed that admittedly has improved certain things. Like right now I'm at $199. I've been riding for 28 miles. That's an improvement. But the problem is when I get on a hill, it just runs away from me thermally. The other minor issue I've started having is that I do get some of that shake on the front end that people talk about, the death wobble, and I'll demonstrate that. Yep, there it is. So I do have that, and I didn't initially have that, but I have it now. I don't really know what has changed. So I do have, like I said, I have something heavy over the back end, so maybe that's why it doesn't really bother me that much, to be honest, because I never go hands-free on this really. But those are the 4 cons. I'm gonna do a top speed run here on this road now. As you can hear in my tone, like I'm not happy about any of this. I had a family member ask me, like, what's the outcome that you hope for? Even now, my hope is that I can just get parts for it that'll fix this issue. Certainly don't need to pay another $600 for a Scout or an $1,800 for a Predator. I just would like for this bike to work. That's really what I want. All right, let's do a top speed run. All right, throttle only 42.6 is where we're holding. That's pretty good. All right, folks, I know it's dark, but I owe you a 0 to 20. 3, 2, 1. 7, 9, 11, 14, 16, 17, 20. 25 and 30. Give you a 0 to 30 as a bonus since I waited till it was dark to do it. Like I said, honestly on flat ground the new motor has been an improvement, and I have said that too in my other video. Feels a little torquier, feels like it's running a little bit better. I mean, the last motor did have a short, so obviously, this is better. If you found this video helpful, I would really appreciate a like, a subscription. Like I said, I've got some cool videos coming out soon. I've got a review for a really cool scooter that's coming out in the next few days. If that's out now, it'll be up here. I've got a video detailing all of my accessories. I got some really cool accessories I'm excited to show you guys about. That's going to be up here. And feel free to share this. Sharing is caring. That really, really helps my channel.